This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/get started. That's GREENLIGHT.com/get started.
No, Mom, I'm not telling you can't make new friends. I just think dating El Chapo while he's in prison, that's a weird choice. Yeah, no, I don't care if you think I'd like him. Look, I'm at the studio right now. I gotta go. I'll talk to you later.
There he is.
Wow, man. Wow. Seriously, got to admire it.
What? What are you guys talking about?
Like you don't know.
Dude, I thought I was the master of pre-show shenanigans, but this has been incredible.
Seriously, what are you talking about? I have no idea.
Howard Hughes, this week's episode, you slowly building his bits into your life for what? Like 345 episodes? You could reveal it now? Man, mwah, chef's kiss. Bravo.
What? I didn't build Howard Hughes into my life.
Oh, you didn't. The constant moving.
The germophobia.
I mean, even the meal repetition. Dude, it's incredible. Like, take the credit.
It's not repetition. It's a cycle based on 4 meal kit delivery services on a bi-weekly alternating. It's classic bit. Yup, it was a bit. All done now. Ta-da! Nailed the bit.
So
Awesome.
good. Awesome. Hey, how's your mom?
Dating El Chapo.
Ooh, yikes.
Yup. Yikes.
Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, the podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts, because this is the internet, and that's how it works now. I'm Eli Bosnick, and I'll be the naked weirdo tonight, but I'll need the sisterhood of my traveling pants, Tom, Cecil, and Heath.
Yeah, I love pants. Gives me something to take off while I make hard eye contact. In establishing dominance at the gas station, it's essential. That's
That's a useful move.
Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants sounds infinitely better than my first band, Brotherhood of the Wandering Skid Mark. So,
My traveling pants is when I get winded trying to walk down a long train platform.
Sure, yep,
So,
I've seen it. I've seen it. I've been there. Now, before we begin
It
tonight,
was really long.
it was a long platform. We'll give
I
him
had
the
a
credit.
bag.
And then he went keto. It all worked out. Before we begin tonight, I'd like to thank our patrons. Patrons, without you, we'd be as big a failure as the Conqueror. And if you'd like to learn how to join their ranks, be sure to stick around till the end of the show. And with that out of the way, tell us, Cecil, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event will we be talking about today?
today we're going to be talking about Howard Hughes.
Ooh, and Tom, you are almost as mentally ill as the subject of today's
Okay.
essay. Are you ready to
Jesus.
prepare us emotionally?
I am not, but I'll read you an essay.
All right, so tell us, Tom, who was Howard Hughes?
Okay. All right. I know everyone.
Go ahead.
I know everyone is expecting me to introduce this essay, like I have every essay for years now, with like an introspective reflection or a meandering anecdote or some critique on modern society laden with deep misgivings for the future of humanity's soul. And,
Boo.
likely after more than
Do the
100
show.
of these moments, after introductions that for the briefest of moments pull back the facade
What are we
to reveal
talking about?
some small piece of the core truth of me.
Heath, are we doing wings after?
Your
Did we
humble
say
narrator.
wings?
I'd love to do wings.
You, my sweet audience, likely have some
You mean the
expectation
band
that
or
this
the
essay
food?
Oh,
will
the
touch
food.
on
Either way,
themes
yeah.
of love, loss, and the narrative power of what it means to endure. How, after all, could I tell you the
Jesus
story
Christ, he's still
of an
going.
inventor, an adventurer, a film tycoon, a philanthropist, and a famed pilot, and not tell you here in this very introduction what this story says about who our subject is, but also, indeed, about who we all are.
Who we are, exactly. Making the world a better place, one podcast.
Fuck yeah, baby.
He couldn't even get through his own line.
We are job.
Oh, man.
I get it. Go ahead.
All right, we do it exactly like
What's
this.
the show about?
Yeah. Howard Robard Hughes Jr. was born in 1905 and is proof that while maybe you can pull yourself up by the bootstraps, no, you probably can't. And it would really be much easier if you just came from a family of fantastically successful people.
Can confirm.
Can you?
How dare you? Lee Bennett Hopkins Award winner.
Howard's father was an inventor and businessman who was also descended from generations of success and privilege, and he ended up starting the Hughes Tool Company after inventing some kind of oil well drilling doohickey. Hughes Sr. then leased those out, and since leases are scams, he made a fortune, and the business ran successfully for over 80 years before being absorbed into some other larger company. So little Howie Jr. even had a famously famous uncle who was famous and successfully successful. What I'm saying, I guess, is that the pump was primed for Hughes to be successful from the jump.
Okay, Tom, I'm worried you're descending into a level of yada, yada, yadaing from whence you may never return. Do you want to make with some details, or?
We would have had to fire the maid if it wasn't for Grandpa's sapphire mine.
Now, Howard himself did have some really significant natural talent as well. Early on, he took an interest in science and technology. By the age of 11, he had built the first wireless radio transmitter in Houston. Which sounds great, but really, if you're in Houston, I get not wanting to broadcast that. He also became one of the first licensed ham radio operators, but again, it was in Houston. By 12, he appeared in the paper for having built a motorized bicycle from, of all things, parts from his father's steam engine.
Okay, that's amazing, though. That's pretty great. Everybody's going to hate you, though. You're just flying past other kids. Hey, fuck you. Fuck you.
I can't imagine something I want less than like a steam boiler heating up between my legs as I pedal down the road, though.
Disagree, Tom. Disagree.
By 14, Howard was taking flying lessons and quickly thereafter started taking math and aeronautical engineering courses at Caltech. So things were going well until in 1922, Howard's mom died from complications from an ectopic pregnancy, and 2 years later, his father died of a heart attack. By the time he was 19, Howard had inherited 75% of his father's fortune. He was now very young, very talented, and very rich. Naturally, he decided to get married, but not just to anyone, but to Ella Botts Rice, great-niece of William Marsh Rice, after whom Rice University was named. Financially secure from every possible angle and very well connected, the couple moved to Los Angeles to try to make a name for himself as a film.
Okay, and nothing encapsulates the ridiculous patriarchy better than the couple set off to make a name for himself.
Then there's just this line from Wiki, which kills me because it's just so chock full of, well, I guess Howard Hughes. It's perfect. Quote, they moved into the Ambassador Hotel, and Hughes proceeded to learn to fly a Waco, that's a biplane, while simultaneously producing his first motion picture, end quote. And that sounds great, but really, it's not. If you're rich, producing a film is just, paying for the movie to be made. And it turns out that people really don't mind when young, idealistic, and naive rich kids want to bankroll their films. His first movie, and I swear this is the real title, was called Swell Hogan, and was evidently so bad that after it flopped initially, Hughes hired an editor to fix the movie, but ultimately, he just ordered the movie itself to be destroyed.
Okay, but I love the idea of terrible movies taking a do-over, like doing a mulligan. Just Tommy Wiseau at a press conference being like, okay, assholes, I fixed it. Here you go, The Room. Again, it's better now. Try again.
I mean, isn't that what they've been trying to do since Saw 2, Heath? I don't understand. What are we...
But Hughes learned some lessons from Swell Hogan, and his next two films, Everybody's Acting and Two Arabian Nights, did very well.
Movie.
Everybody's
This is
acting.
movie.
Yeah.
What's the movie called? What is the movie called? Oh, no, I have
Cinema.
it. It is
Movie
called
of movies.
Everybody's Acting.
Movie time.
Well, Two Arabian Nights won an Academy Award for Best Director. Two more films produced by Hughes would also be nominated for Academy Awards. But Howard Hughes was a complicated man. While many of his films were successful, his foray into film was not without controversy.
Tom, my hand is millimeters from the Fatty Arbuckle button. Millimeters. Do you hear me?
We should get rid of that button.
Why do we have...
Feels like a bad idea.
We know why we have this button.
You have a guy for Fatty Arbuckle buttons.
That's
I know.
right.
So Hughes purchased partial ownership.
Fatty Arbuckle buttons. Tom, I'm so sorry. I am actually not participating in the rest of this episode. Cecil, you can just turn off my track. I'm going to be fucking, I guess scatting is really the best term for it. The words Fatty Arbuckle buttons until I assume the police come to drag me into some kind of care situation. So
I like that you announced that as if we would notice a difference.
Yeah, no. Yeah, best of luck with the rest of the show, guys, though. Really. All the best.
I like that the button did a jingle instead of like telling us about that guy. Anyway, go ahead.
I like that I get permission to mute his track instead of just doing it without telling him. That's fine.
No,
If I give permission, I feel like I was part of the process. You know?
You weren't.
Yeah. Delete on Cecil's laptop is the real Fatty Arbuckle.
Yeah, for real.
Hughes purchased partial ownership and eventually control of RKO Companies, a family of companies that included RKO Pictures, RKO Theaters, and a bunch of other theaters and radio stations, and he promptly just musked the whole thing and fired 700 of their employees. Production, of course, plummeted from 30 films to just 9, likely because it takes employees to make movies.
Because he fired a bunch of people. Yeah.
Fired them all, yeah. But Hughes wasn't willing to produce shit until he had all of the remaining employees checked to make sure that they were not communists. Any scenes filmed by or with suspected communist actors had to get reshot, and he was particularly strict about this with the women that he employed. The following year, in 1953, Hughes got sued by just pretty much all the shareholders for financial misconduct and corporate mismanagement, which seemed just very fair. Yeah, very fair. And Hughes might have lost those lawsuits, but he simply solved the problem by buying up everyone's shares, so now there were no shareholders anymore to sue him. Problem solved.
Elon Musk kind of did that.
Yeah.
Didn't go great much in terms of his profit.
Yeah. Problem solved, but it cost him $24 million. At this point, Howard Hughes was the first sole owner of a major studio of the silent film era, but Hughes was done dabbling in film and he sold the company 6 months later. And while I've intentionally focused on his fuck-ups, I do have to note that Hughes made an $11 million personal profit in the 7 years that he owned RKO.
Yeah, no, they actually teach Howard Hughes in MBA programs now. The class is called Already Have a Bunch of Money. And it's like the most important part. Yeah.
It's like how the martingale roulette system works if you have infinity dollars. You know, it's like works great.
That's the guy who was like, just double your bet every
you
time
double your bet when you lose, and then you win all the money back. And if you never run out of money, then you never run out of money. Why are you betting money that you don't run out of?
Hughes also invested in real estate. And since this is my own personal area of expertise, I am skipping the details of this part of the story because real estate is fucking boring. Though there is one story I do need to relay. While staying at the Desert Inn in Las Vegas, Hughes refused to vacate his room. And so instead he decided he'd just buy the entire hotel rather than leave. In fact, he invested $300 million in property across Nevada, eventually owning iconic properties such as the Sands, Frontier, and the Silver Slipper. He invested in venues connected to organized crime and consolidated those properties into the Hughes empire, helping to transform the image of Las Vegas into a more refined cosmopolitan city and becoming the largest employer in Nevada.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing Vegas isn't tacky and gross anymore, thanks to Howard Hughes. We hosted our podcast about child trafficking there, and the venue needed to be subtle and refined, and it was.
Yeah. We're not allowed to say where it was, but if you tip them $200 at the front desk, they let you fuck Wayne Newton's animatronic corpse, which is fun.
Cosmopolitanly.
Yeah. No, it's cool. They like dry martini in one hand,
Classy
Wayne Newton's
place.
mung in the other.
But Hughes' real love, and the reason I first heard about Howard Hughes, was because of his love and involvement in aviation. And here, Howard Hughes' record of achievements and firsts is kind of incredible. From his company, Hughes Aircraft, he commissioned a number of custom aircraft, including the Hughes XF-11 and the Hughes Racer, which set the airspeed record at the time and also crashed, nearly killing Howard. In fact, Howard Hughes survived not one, not two, but 4 airplane accidents, including another one that nearly killed him while he was on the set filming Hell's Angels.
Look, if you can't do stupid, dangerous shit or petulantly buy hotels, what the hell is the point of being rich, man?
Well, Cecil, first you buy a full-page ad in the New York Times, all right? Hear me out.
Stop manifesting. This is how Trump won. Stop.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
The Hughes racer, also called the Hughes H1 racer, first set the airspeed record, hitting 352 miles per hour over his test course, marking the last time that an aircraft owned by a private individual set the world airspeed record. A year and a half later, Hughes set the transcontinental airspeed record, flying from LA to Newark in 7 hours and 28 minutes and 25 seconds, a time which beat the previous record, also held by Hughes, by almost 2 full hours. In this flight, he averaged 322 miles an hour. The Hughes racer also boasted design innovations such as retractable landing gear and rivets and joints being set flush to the body of the plane to reduce drag, which was a big deal at the time. But at the time, there was a lot of low-hanging technological fruit.
It was a big deal with every gruff dad in America. That day, they were just all grunting together with admiration, like joint works flush, plums, measure twice, cut once. That was everybody.
And Hughes was super weirdly involved in all of it. He wasn't just a rich fucker pointing at the sky and grunting faster while writing checks.
Speaking of Elon Musk.
Well, except the writing checks part. Yeah, that's
Sure,
different.
fair.
Yeah, different.
After founding his aircraft company, Hughes took an alias, Charles Howard, and he also took a job as a baggage handler for American Airlines and was, and I shit you not, this is how Wiki phrases this, quote, soon promoted to co-pilot
What?
from baggage handler. Hughes continued to work for American Airlines until his real identity was discovered.
Man, the OG season of Undercover Boss sounds super boring, man. Holy shit.
Also, that's fucking terrifying. That's like the cafeteria guy in the hospital doing pretty good. And they're like, okay, great job. You're a surgeon now.
I know.
Go scrub in upstairs.
I mean, that's probably how it works, right, Tom? Huh?
Oh,
Tom?
okay.
Tom,
Not
that's
that
probably
far
how it
off.
works.
You're a podcaster. You're in charge of NASA's radio communications from now on. There you go.
On July 14th, 1938, Hughes set another world record, this time by flying around the world in 91 hours, crushing the prior record of 186 hours, which was such a big fucking deal at the time that he was given a ticker tape parade through the Canyon of Heroes in New York.
Man, the weird shit we did to celebrate before Netflix and ice cream, man. What the fuck?
And not all of Hughes's aerospace projects were such a success. In 1937, Hughes began work on a design called the D-2, which was originally conceived of as another aircraft for a new record circumnavigation attempt.
I
However,
just want to flag that his 2 planes are named D and F in terms of their first letter. It's not a good sign.
not a good start. However, the advent of World War II made getting the airplane parts as a private company a huge pain in the ass. So Hughes decided instead to build the aircraft and sell it to the U.S. Army. The D-2 came to be as a fighter plane, a 2 to 3 seat twin-powered airplane built mostly out of plywood, but it was kind of a shit plane. It wasn't
Sorry, you said plywood?
plywood, actually made out of
Airplane?
fucking plywood. Yes, this is 37.
Okay.
It wasn't particularly maneuverable as a fighter plane, and it sucked as a bomber, and the test flights revealed serious problems just like flying the damn thing. And by 1944,
that's pretty important.
it was
Sure.
bad at that
The
part. It
flying
was
part.
very bad at that. By 1944, the war was nearly over. The plane was in a hangar until a lightning strike on the hangar burned the plywood plane down to charcoal.
Rough. Yeah. Hey, Howard, you should have made the whole plane out of the black box. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Everybody hates you. Guy next to me now.
A similarly disastrous was the Sikorsky S-43, which in 1943, Hughes took to Las Vegas to test fly it about. The S-43 was an amphibious aircraft, and Hughes used Lake Mead to practice touch-and-go landings across the water until he was confident enough to invite 2 Civil Aeronautics Authority inspectors, a couple of his employees, and the actress Ava Gardner out on a flight. After dropping off Ava Gardner, Hughes flew back to Lake Mead to show off his plane again, which then crashed and killed one of the inspectors, one of the employees, and badly injured Hughes. Hughes later paid divers $100,000 to recover the plane and then spent $500,000 restoring it so it could sit in Houston and not kill anyone else.
He's telling the Civil Aeronautics Authority they really, really loved it before it crashed, though. Like a lot.
At some lady's door with his hat on his chest. Ma'am, my name is Howard Hughes, and I have something your husband wanted me to tell you.
Then there was the XF-11, which we touched on earlier. Howard Hughes had made friends with Colonel Elliott Roosevelt, and Roosevelt convinced the military to order 100 of the reconnaissance version of the failed D-2. This revamp would be called the F-11 or XF, and many people doubted that Hughes could fulfill an order of this size, and spoiler, he would not. And remember that the D-2 was far from a success. The XF-11 was to be a substantial enough change to the D-2 that Hughes insisted it was a totally new plane, and the Hughes company then entered into such bitchy contract negotiations that those negotiations outlasted the war, and ultimately the contract was canceled.
All right, listen, do you want my plywood toy planes to run the decoy for Normandy or not? Do you? Hey, they're gone. They're gone. I don't care about killing Nazis. It's fine.
Now, they did build 2 prototypes of the XF-11, and the XF-11 was substantially different than the D-2 was modeled from, though not, it turns out, different better. In 1946, while performing the first flight of the XF-11, Hughes decided to extend his flight time in the experimental craft for 45 minutes past the test parameters, likely because he was distracted by the landing gear not having retracted properly. And then the damn thing sprung an oil leak, and that caused a bunch of complicated airplane stuff to happen that I didn't really understand, but the result was that the plane started to go all wonky and lose altitude.
Down. It went down.
Down.
Yeah.
I think it went side to side a bit first, but yeah, it did definitely go down. Yeah. Hughes.
It'd be crazy if something went wrong and it just went up. And you were like, what the fuck's happening?
This is going better. Hughes, afraid not
Can
to
only go up for so long.
This isn't better at all. Hughes, afraid not just of crashing, but of destroying his prototype, he aimed to land the XF-11 on a golf course at a country club. But instead, he crashed into a neighborhood in Beverly Hills, destroying 3 houses and just starting fires everywhere.
There is no better metaphor for unregulated capitalism than that.
Yeah, for real.
And then a SpaceX rocket fell out of the sky and landed on Twitter's main server building. I'm just trying out the... I'm manifesting like Eli's talking about. I'm trying to do a good version. If a Tesla on autopilot hits Elon Musk as it runs a light or something, I'm a Christian that day.
Just a trans woman inside. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do.
I can't reach.
The machine you built is somehow being destructive. That's so sad for you.
All your children hate you.
Why is it backing up?
Hughes pulled himself out of the flaming wreckage and collapsed next to the aircraft, having cracked several ribs, crushed his collarbone, crushed his chest so hard that he collapsed the lung, and then pushed his actual fucking heart off to the right, and he sustained a number of third-degree burns. Before passing out, he was heard to mutter, "The aristocrats."
Hey, I mean, at least he's committed to the guy who crashes his plane bit, right? You got to admire.
Yeah.
You got to admire.
Hughes was taken to the hospital where he discovered that although he was in terrible pain, he could still be annoying. He called in his plant engineers to redesign the hospital bed to include hot and cold running water. The bed could be built in sections and then operated with a series of motors and push-button adjustments to alleviate pain from burn injuries. He never got a chance to use the bed he designed because, against his doctor's expectations, he actually recovered quite quickly and well from his many injuries.
Could you imagine having this asshole at your house? And while he's there, he calls his engineers to make a more comfortable couch with a beer tapper in the armrest. Like, what a jackass.
Do I get the beer tapper?
Heath is a lovely house guest, Cecil, and some of us take his sponge-based gifts as the compliment they are intended to be.
Thank you, Eli.
Still in that drawer.
Okay, but that hospital bed thing, like, he sucks apparently, but that hospital bed thing with the cold and hot water, that's pretty cool.
It sounds
Like,
good.
if that works.
It sounds good. I bet it just cost a fucking fortune. All right, then there was the H-4 Hercules, which was nicknamed by critics the Spruce Goose. This behemoth was contracted by the War Production Board as a gigantic flying boat meant for use in World War II to transport troops and equipment. And to this point, masses of both troops and equipment were at that point being moved via ship across oceans, patrolled by German U-boats, which, as you can imagine, was somewhat less than ideal. The Hercules was meant to help solve that problem, but like the XF-11, the war ended before the plane was actually built. But what a plane. The Spruce Goose was aptly nicknamed because it was the world's largest flying boat. And it was the largest aircraft made from fucking wood. That's right, this thing was
spruce?
It was not spruce. This was a huge flying shop project.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No,
hey, Heath, shut the fuck up.
Though it was made out of birch heath rather than spruce.
So
Jesus.
birch, cool. Got it. It really feels like he's a secret Nazi, though, right? Like the Nazis were like, "Be stupid over there, and we'll pay you." And he was like, "What?" And they were like, "Great."
Now, to be fair, the commission itself pretty much guaranteed that this was always going to be a wooden plane, since it stipulated that it had to be made from non-strategic materials. So, I mean, what the hell else could they have used? But this thing was big, guys. It was so fucking big. It was, in fact, so goddamn big that no other plane would be built with a larger wingspan until 1985. The Hercules was only ever flown one time for a single mile by Hughes. And here I want to quote directly from an article that I found about its test flight, because it sounds fucking terrifying. Quote, "When the plane hit its peak speed, as the 8 roaring engines drove it through the water, the big ship skipped from wave to wave. There was a violent shaking motion in the cockpit. In anticipation of this motion,
Caliente.
the command had been given to spread out and secure yourself. An engineer stationed in the tail said the plane twisted with each
Caliente.
shock of the wave, and looking down the
Caliente.
center ramp, he was reminded of an
Caliente.
earthquake as the deck rippled."
Yeah, I'm telling you what.
All right. Well, safe in the knowledge that Howard Hughes invented every landing on a United airplane I've ever had. We'll wait to choose between cookies or pretzels like a fucking plebeian, and we'll take a quick break for some apropos of nothing.
Mr. Hughes, it's an honor.
Truly, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so before we begin, I just want to say how excited we are to partner with you on your newest aircraft, the JK-33. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about the JK-33?
So, you know, plane,
I'm sorry. What now?
plane, go sky, go.
Well, why is he talking like that?
JK-33, big plane. Big. Yes?
Sorry, Mr. Hughes, are you doing like a bit? Because we were expecting a famous aeronautics tycoon and
me. See, here.
Mr. Hughes, this is a big wad of $100 bills.
Yeah, me. You.
Howard, you can't buy him.
More.
And that's another wad of $100 bills.
More?
How many does he have?
Okay, Howard, thank you. You are me now or whatever. Okay, you're me. You're me.
Good. Now, go.
Oh, you want me to explain your plane to
Please.
you?
Please.
Oh, it's gonna be big. I guess we'll make it out of wood. Wait, what's up?
Me skeptical.
Okay.
And we're back. When we left off, a rich guy was smashing things into the ground that weren't the U.S. economy. Better days. What happens next, Tom?
All right, there's some story here and some time passes where Hughes does a bunch of pretty influential, but just ultimately uninteresting business shit, which I'm going to skip over in the interest of holding your interest. We're going to rejoin Hughes in 1956. Hughes is back at it making movies, this time a film called The Conqueror, which was, again, a complete shit show. Critics panned it, audiences hated it, Hughes loved it. And so he bought every copy of the film and then stayed home and watched it over and over again for many nights in a row, like a 6-year-old mainlining her fix of Frozen.
Yeah, for those of you who haven't been injecting bad movies since the early 2000s like I have, The Conqueror is the one where John Wayne plays Genghis Khan. And yes, there's makeup. And yes, it's as bad as you're imagining.
Jesus Christ.
In the 1960s and 70s, Hughes, worried about the risk of nuclear radiation resulting from fallout from nuclear testing, tried to work to bring nuclear testing to a halt. His efforts failed and scared the hell out of him when the hotel he was staying in shook in the wake of a blast. So he instructed his aides to bribe the president with $1 million to halt testing. And he actually tried this twice. He tried to bribe both Johnson and again Nixon.
Look, I can't be bribed, but if you buy my mom's house, take me on several luxury vacations, give me a no-interest loan that you eventually forgive, I'll see what I can do. We'll see what we can do for you.
I was going to say, for the bygone integrity-filled days of President Richard fucking Nixon.
I know. In 1972, during the Cold War, the CIA approached Hughes for his help in recovering a sunken Soviet submarine, K-129, which went down 4 years earlier. The use of Hughes gave the CIA a plausible cover story. Since Hughes was always just doing crazy shit anyway, nobody would notice if a bunch of spies went trawling about for submarines.
That's a pretty good plan.
It's fucking amazing. And they're just like, I don't know, bring that fucking guy over. The operation was mostly a failure since the submarine broke in half on the way up, and instead of getting all the good stuff like the code book, they mostly just hauled up a few nuclear torpedoes and a half a dozen very dead Russian sailors. The whole thing was classified, and we probably wouldn't have known much about any of this project, except that in 1974, burglars burgled Hughes' home and found his papers detailing the project.
Okay, I love that Hughes was actually so fucking ridiculous that it made this plan work. Like the KGB, they see an American boat right near their sunken nuclear sub that they know about, and they're like, no, we're good. It's Howard Hughes trying to put like fucking elephant ears on the side of a gopher wood ark to make it fly. It's fine. We're good.
Hughes was, to say the least, an eccentric and rigid man. Every day, Hughes ate the same thing every single day. A New York strip, medium rare, dinner salad, peas, but only very small ones. For breakfast, he had eggs, cooked the way his family cook made. Anyone making his eggs had to learn to make them the same way, and any deviation from this menu was unacceptable.
Mr. Hughes, here's your giant plate of eggs and spit. Here you go.
Hughes
what was the secret eggs thing? There's like 3 or 4 things you can do. Right?
I don't know. I have no idea. No idea what he did.
None of them are that hard.
Hughes became at one point fond of Baskin-Robbins banana nut ice cream. When his aides went to get Hughes some ice cream, they discovered the flavor had been discontinued. So the aides, eager to satisfy Hughes' craving, contacted Baskin-Robbins and asked what the minimum amount they could buy as a special order. And the answer was 350 gallons, which they purchased and shipped to Los Angeles. And I love this so much because shortly after the order arrived, Hughes declared that he was tired of banana nut and now wanted only French vanilla. The Desert Inn, where Hughes was staying, ended up giving away free banana nut ice cream for a year.
Amazing. Okay, you know those aides after that were trying to get Howard into like whatever weird thing they liked for the rest of his life. Just be like, hey, boss, do you like this very specific sex robot? Do you want an army custom?
Like Heath and I trying to get Noah to stay in a hotel that's not the Red Roof Inn. Just like, oh, you know what? The DoubleTree's close to the dispensary. So
soda machine placement. It's just you're fast right to it. No matter
I'll
where
call
you
and
are.
ask if there's an ice machine. I will call.
Hughes likely suffered from some form of OCD, and he was a renowned germaphobe, and he had an obsession with secrecy. And more than once, he would enter into a room and then just not leave that room. In 1958, he decided to screen some movies at a film studio near his home. He didn't leave the darkened screening room for 4 months after walking in. Yeah, he ate only chocolate bars and chicken. He drank only milk. He was surrounded by boxes and boxes of Kleenex, which he arranged and stacked, rearranged.
Smart.
His aides were given detailed memos forbidding them from looking at or speaking to Hughes while he sat, often naked and ungroomed, continuously watching film after film in the dark.
Wow, that sounds healthy. Glad no one stepped in. Cool. Yeah.
Cecil, when you're rich and mentally ill, it's not called enabling, it's called eccentric. Trust me, I'm working on it. I am working on it.
On returning home to the Beverly Hills Hotel from his 4-month epic movie marathon, Hughes rented rooms for himself and his aides and his girlfriends, and they sat, naked but for a napkin over his dick again, watching movies over and over.
What? The napkin, though?
There is some speculation that Hughes may have
It would be ridiculous otherwise, Cecil.
Heath, you are sort of very vociferously defending this man. I just want to let you know
I
that.
feel like we've diagnosed him now with OCD because he goes into a room for a long time. Whatever. It's weird that we're being very judgy.
Heath just wants his tissues to be neat. I don't know why we're all ganging up on him.
Sometimes you're like, they're neat, but hold on.
But do it again, just in
optimize
case.
this. Right.
But
Heath
the
once
dick
dusted his
napkin,
moving
though, I'm
boxes.
just like, okay.
You guys are being weird.
Okay.
There is some speculation that Hughes may have suffered from allodynia, a condition where the sufferer experiences pain in response to non-painful stimuli. Or he might have just realized that pants are for suckers.
Okay, thank you. Pants are really just a big, uncomfortable dick napkin. Howard gets it. This guy gets it. They're like denim? You don't want denim. That's crazy. Give me a silk napkin.
This is like I'm wearing
all
a
day.
Scott napkin. I really want a Charmin napkin
Yeah.
on here. Yeah.
There you go.
A big Kleenex, like oiled Kleenex one.
No, not those.
Hughes then
Those are
became
great.
fixated on purchasing restaurants and 4-star
Tom,
hotels.
I know you started, but we are going to argue about Kleenex here for a second.
Yeah, Heath
How
work is just
dare
gonna
you?
fork
Thank you,
out
Cecil.
background and excellent. Yeah, I got. Just let me know when you're done, Tom. Because
Kleenex
the
medicated
lotion
with
ones
the,
are
like,
so
with the
much worse. Yeah, it's
delightful
horrible.
oil?
Horrible.
What?
I don't need cum already on them. That's what we're here for.
You like a dry face instead of a cum face.
Yes,
Wow. You're weird.
you're weird.
You're weird.
All right, I think that's settled. Tom, go ahead.
Okay, all right, good. All right.
There's a little boy on the box. I'm just saying, Heath. That's why you like it. Stepchild.
There's not, though.
There is.
You're what?
I was mistaken.
Don't ruin this for me.
Hughes then became fixated on purchasing restaurants and 4-star hotels, but only if they were founded in the state of Texas. Though he does not appear to have held most of them for very long. He did not, however, lose interest in the movie Ice Station Zebra, which he watched over and over
I'm gonna put
hundreds
this on
of
the list.
times. Yep.
Really, the title? Ice
Ice
Station
Station
Zebra?
Zebra. He then also
Okay.
began to store his urine in jars and would only touch anything through a tissue to avoid germs. And while I am not down with the urine thing, having elementary age kids has definitely made me sympathetic to the germophobia.
Do you think his staff were ever backing another pallet of tissues into the storage unit and were like, oh, we should tell him about gloves, right? We should tell him about gloves. Gloves?
Now, sadly, and possibly the result of his many traumatic injuries, Hughes' health and mental health continued to decline, and his behavior continued to become more eccentric, moving from hotel to hotel across Beverly Hills, Boston, Las Vegas, Nassau, Freeport, and Vancouver, always insisting on taking residence in the top floor penthouse. In 1976, in terribly ill mental and physical health, Howard Hughes died, likely from a drug overdose of painkillers. This just is in the wiki written like this, administered to him while he was unconscious. No
Oh,
further
a murder.
detail. Just
Sure.
okay.
Yeah.
Much of the final moments of Hughes' life are just tragic, and there's really no reason to relay them here on a comedy show, but I will note with a smile that when Hughes died that day in 1976, he died while on board a Learjet, which seems a fitting place for him to end his story.
And if you had to summarize what you've learned in one sentence, Tom, what would it be?
Don't be not rich.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cecil?
Really
you
smart.
listening?
Uh-huh.
All right. Tom, are you ready for the quiz?
One day.
I am, yeah.
All right, Tom. Under all the urine jars, they found a script for one of his upcoming movies. What was it? A, Enemy of the Prostate. B, 10 Things I Hate About Urethra. C,
Fantastic.
Breaking Bladder. Or D, Diary of a Wimpy Kidney.
Oh my God. Diary of a Wimpy Kidney is perfect.
Phenomenal.
That is
Correct?
awesome.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Excellent. I want to do more P stuff. When Howard
Yeah,
Hughes,
we
That
know
is
that,
not
Heath.
the
You don't
first
have
time
to
you
announce
said that
it.
today.
You don't.
That is
in
not the
this
first
context,
That's assumed.
the
That's
Kleenex
always
doesn't.
assumed.
It doesn't matter. Shh. When Howard Hughes became an eccentric millionaire who also collects urine, at that point, what was the best nickname he got from his staff that they then put on a mug for him? A, number one boss. B, jar head honcho. C,
Nice.
the golden spruce goose. Or D, Jar Jar Banks.
Jar Jar Banks.
Nice.
Oh, that's good. Number one boss is perfect, though. That's so, I don't know. I'm going to go number
Golden
one boss.
Spruce Goose is
That
so
is
good.
correct. Well done.
Yes.
All
Bravo.
right.
I knew it.
People make fun of Howard's unusual habits towards the end of his life, but hey, I like having the same thing for lunch every day. B, what am I supposed to do? Invent a new lunch every day like fucking Da Vinci? C, you eat a
What?
different lunch every day. D, I should probably call my therapist, huh?
It's always
Give a
D
call.
for you, buddy.
It's always D. Yeah, it is always
What,
D.
what do you eat for lunch every day?
Ate a just egg scramble with a frozen bag of vegetables and Mr.
God.
Dash saltless salt seasoning.
Just in the dark.
What the
Not in
fuck
the
could
dark.
possible be salt with salt?
It's
What
just-
is that?
Chemical. This is cocaine with emerald
Okay.
on the front.
All right.
Okay. You're bringing me around.
Heath win.
Next week, let's have a little Cecil action.
Sounds
All
good.
right. Well, for Tom, Cecil, Heath, and Noah, I'm Eli Bosnick. Thanking you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week. And by then, Cecil will be an expert on something else. Between now and then, you can listen to our podcasts in all the podcast places. And if you'd like to help keep this show going, you can make a per episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod or leave us a 5-star review anywhere you can.
Relax.
And if you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past episodes, connect with us on social media, or check the show notes. Be sure to check out citationpod.com.
And all these fixtures will keep the lift steady so the vehicle can stay balanced during flight. Any questions?
Wow, really well done, man.
Thank
really well
you.
done.
Okay, here.
More money.
Me and me.
Oh, you're you again.
Yeah. Take.
Fine. All right. Thank you.
So, that helped plane go brrr. Any question?
Yeah, I do have questions.
Nope, you don't. Take.
Where's he getting all the money?
I think it's under his napkin.
Sure.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/get-started. That's GREENLIGHT.com/get-started.
If you want to feel more connected to humanity and a little less alone, listen to Beautiful Anonymous. Each week, I take a phone call from one random anonymous human being. There's over 400 episodes in our back catalog. You get to feel connected to all these different people all over the world. Recent episodes include one where a lady survived a murder attempt by her own son. But then the week before that, we just talked about Star Trek. It can be anything. It's unpredictable. It's raw. It's real. Get Beautiful Anonymous wherever you listen to podcasts.